Recording in progress on Friday, the first day of October 2021. And we're going to prepare to take a look at chapter 13 and 14. So, Paloma is here and Alexandra was here momentarily. Something must have drew her attention away. She'll probably be back. So, what sort of gray area questions do you have so we can clear that?
I have 44.
Okay. 44 on chapter 13. What is a limitation of the research on marital couples performed by Dr. Gottman and his colleagues? Well, they didn't do any long-term studies involving gay or lesbians. So I don't know. I mean, when you're doing research, you always have to make decisions about who you want to talk to and what is the goal of your research. Do you want to, so I'm sure it wasn't based on any bias, because if you're researching human sexuality, you want to research everything that you can. So maybe because of there's always money and physical limitations to every study, maybe they didn't feel like they could get enough couples that because even though they use the word marital, I'm sure they would have allowed people into the research base who were not married, but basically civil partners, for a long time, because obviously if you want somebody who's been married for 30 years, you're not going to find any gay or lesbian couples because they weren't allowed to get married. But if you depends on how I don't know. But anyway, that's the answer.
Okay, thank you.
Great question, though.
48.
48?
Yes.
Which statement about sexual interaction and sexual satisfaction in marriage is true? Well, A, sexual satisfaction is not closely associated with relationship satisfaction. Meh. Don't even have to finish that one. That one's out. Let's look at B. A lack of sexual interaction does not necessarily mean a bad marriage or a marriage is bad. Now, I can guarantee you that is like one of those trick questions, that people can actually live together as married partners, not have any sex at all, but yet it's a happy marriage.
Right.
That, it's an accommodation they make for each other. As long as it sort of gets at the issue of what is sexual satisfaction in a marriage? And the answer is, it's what the two people agree upon.
Right.
And if they agree upon having a platonic relationship, especially think about, older couples that are not just, that didn't get married a long time ago. Recent marriages and people that are, 75 or something. They may have eliminated sex from their life voluntarily, 10, 15, 20 years earlier. It's not about sex.
Yeah, they're fine with that.
On the other hand, the one place where sexually transmitted infections are out of control is nursing homes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's another issue, but
It's because I believe they stay there like forever and they don't get any visits from their family and they don't really pay attention the staff that work there, they don't pay attention to them.
Well, and you know, they're lonely and they're looking for some love and attention, and that may include sexual behaviors. And who's to say? You know, it's a problem. I can't remember whether we get into that in this book or not, but the previous one we did, and I've got a couple of videos, which are somewhat shocking, to tell you the truth. Anyway, okay, what else we got?
Okay, so that one it's A, right? No, B. Okay. 72? I think it's B.
Well, of course you're right. In most cases, the lower, which just this one always gets me. I pushed on it yesterday because I really don't understand it. In most cases, the lower the educational level of an individual, the higher the rate of divorce. The one exception is a disproportionately high divorce rate among women who have achieved what? Graduate degrees. Because everything you ask to say, oh, the more education you have, the less STIs, the more sexual satisfaction, you know, it's, and in fact, we even looked at that graph. I read from it where the age groups, 18 to 24, 25 and all that. And you think, well, it's not a big jump, but there's some changes. And in fact, one of the questions here is, older women seem to be capable of having orgasms more frequently and have more satisfying sex life
as they get older
than what they did when they were 25, because they've been around, they've experienced, and if they've had various boyfriends or husbands, they've learned from them, So that all makes sense, and except for this one, who say, well, if they have a graduate degree, divorce is higher. Do you have an explanation for that?
Well, for women, it's because I guess, they already have a degree, so they want everything not perfect, but they want it their own way. So that's when they start having conflict with their boyfriend, husband, especially if they don't have the same degree level. I don't know.
Definitely, if they don't have the educational level. Couple things I've noticed in life, and I've been around a long time, is that American men are often intimidated by educated women. And as you say, if they don't have a degree and their girlfriend or spouse does, it could be even more intimidating. That's on the man side. On the female side, as you said, hey, I've got it on my own. I've got a graduate degree. I got my own income. Guess what? I don't need a husband for economic support. I want a husband for emotional support, but it doesn't have to be this guy. The one. Well, I'll give you another one. One thing. This is just a quirk. I'll own it right up front. That there are women who are clinically obese, and their husbands are either thin or average,
Yeah.
And I, in my prejudiced mind, I say, wow, I can't believe that. I think because I'm egocentric to some extent,
Yeah.
I say, I, I don't know. I don't,
It doesn't make it doesn't make sense in our, I guess, in our society, but there's always a why behind all that.
check this out. When the women on occasion decide, I'm tired of looking like this. I really, my doctor tells me it's really bad for my health and I'm already
Hmm.
beginning to have this and that and the other thing. So they start losing weight and taking more pride about how they look and all that stuff. And the guy goes ballistic.
Yeah.
Here, have another plate full of mashed potatoes. No, 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 honey, I'm trying to lose weight. And they get all these arguments about not eating food, not eating too much, eating too little. And when they interview the husbands tell them, "I like her the way she is, and if she starts losing weight and paying more attention to her haircut and her skin, she's going to leave me. She's going to go. She's going to be. Other guys are going to be attracted to her, and I'm going to lose her. So I like her the way she is because I'm used to her. I'm in love with her, and this is. I don't want her to change because I'll lose her."
Yeah, but also in some of the cases that I seen, they don't work. Well, they do work, but they become more like their providers.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they just want to take care of them and not to work while she's getting all these benefits. That's why they get mad or they get offended once she starts losing weight. She wants to work, she wants to go out. And that's when they start either divorcing or they start finding someone else.
Well, and from a college professor's point of view, um, even young women can be intimidated by their boyfriends or the men that have fathered a child or two with them because they get challenged. They think my good looking wife is now going to EPCC to improve her life, and there's lots of guys her age there at EPCC, and I'm not there. I'm not watching what she's doing. And if she ends up getting a nursing degree or a degree in accounting or something, she may just fly the coop.
Yeah, and it happened to me. I used to get paid more than my boyfriend for the longest time, and he knew about it. But then he also has to pay child support, and he was a mess before. So now that he has a master's and everything, obviously he's getting paid more than me. So once that started happening, he disappeared. Like he already finished his career, he's getting paid more and everything. So he left. But all those years, I was getting paid more. And he was always like saying it in my face that I was making more and I didn't have any college degree or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it does affect in one way or the other.
Yes. Yes. Well, if the security in your relationship is founded on what your partner looks like or doesn't look like, or how much money they make or don't make, those things can change dramatically. And
Yeah.
that's like saying, look, I think my wife is beautiful and I only make $60,000 a year. So I'm paranoid as hell that somebody who makes $500,000 is going to take her away from me. Dude.
But that's how people think. I mean,
Oh, yeah. Very interesting. I don't, well, it's not that I don't know. I flat out know that I would never do marriage counseling at all
why not?
because I don't have the patience to deal with that interaction. It's like when I was practicing law and people say, "What, why don't you do divorces? You know, they're, you know, blah, blah, blah. I said, in divorces, nobody wins. Both parties are always unhappy. I mean, it's a very rare, my last divorce, I'm still talking to my ex. We get along fine. There was no big blow up, drag out, fight, and all that crap. But it's an exception. Most people, and we didn't even have an attorney for us. Well, we did have an attorney, but it was an uncontested divorce. So I mean, we didn't even go to court.
That's good.
So it's very interesting. It's very. I can see.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what it feels like to be involved in a relationship and be worried that it might not continue. You know, I know that feeling. But if you have the evidence in front of you that you're happy and your partner seems happy, I mean, to me, that's the best indication that the marriage is going to continue. In fact, there's a question or two. I know one of them at least got on the test because I remember reading it when I was reading which questions I was going to put on. Like, I think it was one of those that says, "What are the 3 best indicators that you know are indicative of a long-term relationship? You know, a positive long-term relationship kind of thing." It's not a big secret, you know, that if you have good communication with your partner, that can overcome a lot of problem areas that lead to divorce, like money. Money is always an issue. It doesn't mean it's a busting out marriage record every time, but if it's not under control and you're not communicating about it, well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. What else you got? Is that it for this?
No, I have 75 and 76.
Okay, good. 75. Pedro and Gina lived together for almost 15 years and had 3 children before Gina and the children moved out. Uh-oh, right on the issue we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Which statement is likely true of Pedro? A, he likely experienced less emotional distress over the breakup than he would have if he and Gina had been married. Wrong.
Mm-hmm.
B, he can expect to continue to experience severe feelings of grief for another year at least. Well, it's true that might be true, but we don't know enough about Pedro to absolutely say that's true. So let's go to C. He may benefit from some professional assistance if he has not yet developed a sense of acceptance. Well, yeah, especially if it's been a year and he still can't accept it. C seems like to be a better. Let's look at D. He most likely did not experience difficulty parenting during. That's a stupid. No, it's C.
It's C? Okay. Because I was reading on the book, and I know for females
Mhm.
that their feelings, it can last up to a year. So I was thinking if it's for females, for males, it should be pretty much the same, or not necessarily.
What, that they need to seek professional help?
No, about be experiencing severe feelings of grief for another year.
Well, I don't know the statistic. I don't know the statistic on that one. I do know that there's a kind of a crude rule in psychotherapy that says if a person, for every 5 years that a person has been married, after they get divorced, they should not remarry for every 5 years that they were married. So in other words, if they were married 5 years and got divorced, they should not get married within a year. If they were married for 10 years, then that should be 2 years. And that is speaking not so much to grief, but just speaking to the disattachment, the disentanglement that living with somebody 10 years gets you. But it's not everybody's different. Nobody's going to say, what time is it? What day is it? Okay. All right. Tomorrow you can get married. Oh, it's no. But a lot of people, probably should have waited longer to get married, because what they can do. Of course, I don't think it has to do with the marriage. I think it has to do with the person. You know, I'm a big believer in pushing this idea of attachment theory, and who can you attach with and who can you not attach with. And if you're a person who gets married, divorced, gets married again, divorced, you have to start looking at yourself saying, what do those two divorces have in common? Me. So I'm not blaming it on me, because, you know, it takes two to tango in a marriage. But if you're going through girlfriends and then you start going through marriages, you got to take a hard look at yourself and say, why am I getting involved with the wrong kind of person? You know, it seems so good, seems so right in the beginning, and then it turns to shit. Well, you know, what's up with that? It reminds me, when I was working at the mental hospital, my roommate was a psychologist too at the mental health center. So, and the superintendent of the hospital, obviously, well, not obviously, but anyway, he was a psychiatrist. And so there was a third psychologist who worked with the kids in the children's unit, and he's kind of an arrogant guy that always like overdressed, you know, always and he used to deal with a lot of cars. He would buy kind of a classic car, like a 69 Chevelle or something, you know. He would, or a Corvette or something. He had these flashy cars, and then he would keep them for a while, and then he would go get another car. But they're all, you know, flashy kind of cars. And so Dr. Formagoni, his name was Dr. Formagoni. He said at a meeting where Pete wasn't there, but I don't know how this came up, but he said, well, let me tell you this. If Pete stops switching cars, he's going to get divorced. And Don and I looked at each other like, what the hell are you talking about? So we talked about it later, and it was like, man, let me think about this. Well, you know, where is he going with this? And of course, he was absolutely right. Pete had been married for like 18 years, and son of a gun, he used to change cars about every 6 months. He tried to get me to buy one of his cars, and I really loved it. It was really pretty, but I didn't have that kind of money. So I am not kidding you. Like, he got divorced. He stopped trading cars because you could tell what he drove to work, right? And then 4 or 5 months later, he got divorced. And so what Formagoni was talking about was, you know, you can love your wife, and you can have a love for your autos. You spend time with them. You give them names. Like the movie with the classic race car in it, Gone in 6 Seconds, whatever it is, with Nicolas Cage. A lot of guys give their cars names, female names, and obviously it's not a sexual thing, but it is sort of an attachment thing.
Right.
This is my flashy thing that I'm associated with, and it makes me feel good when people see me with this car, and I can rev it up and all this kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden I'm not trading cars. More than likely I'm having an affair. And now that I've stopped trading cars and I've taken that, not really obsession, but strong interest in cars and switching them so I'm not bored, I'm not doing that anymore. So now I'm
stuck with one.
I'm stuck with one wife. So I need to get out. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought of that, but
It happens.
I just remember it shocked me when he said that, and my roommate and I were talking about it. I thought, where was he going with that? But I was pretty damn young too. I was in my 20s, so I didn't understand as much
Back then.
as I do now.
Yeah.
Did you say there was another
76?
76 trombones? According to your textbook, what are the 3 common reactions experienced by people adjusting to divorce? I read that. I don't remember whether I put it on the test or not. I know I considered it. I can't remember it. But the answer is D, shock, anger, and loneliness.
Okay.
Because divorce can really take people by surprise. And then once you're over the shock, then it's like,
Yeah, you're right. But then I was reading this question to myself from my own experience, and then I was gonna say A. But then I was like, well, it's not about myself, which is increased self-esteem, relief, and joy. So that's when I find out that it was D.
A would be certainly a possibility, but it wouldn't be stuff that you first experienced. And I know
Right, yeah.
it doesn't say, right after getting divorced, you're going to be shocked, anger, or right after at least discussing divorce and working towards a divorce, shock, anger, and loneliness are going to kick in. Now, here's something for those of you who are listening who have not been married and divorced, which is not true of Paloma and I, but let me say this. You might be surprised, as I would, that now that the divorce is over and it's all more calm than it was prior to the divorce, you can miss being married. You just don't miss being married to that person. The concept of marriage, of having somebody to come home to, of thinking, okay, we're going to get a bigger house. Okay, maybe we'll have a kid or something like that. Your dreams and aspirations, that's what saddened me. Not that I'm not doing it with her. And another thing that saddened me was I made the damn mistake of marrying her to begin with. I blame myself. It's a 50-50 decision. Nobody put a gun to my head. So I think, really? So that I don't know what your experience was, but those are 2 things I definitely felt.
Yeah, because you have plans, you have
Friends.
just having someone right next to you that you can count with, but then not having someone there anymore, it's not the same that you don't want to get married again, but just maybe to find the right person.
And I think that's one of the reasons in the therapeutic world we say, hold off a little bit before getting married.
Oh yeah.
And then there's another great theme is like for some reason I was talking so much about the woman that I had an affair with. The facts tend to show that people who have an affair while they're married and then get divorced and marry that person, it doesn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was not married at the time, but she was. So, some people say, well, if you're so head over heels in love with somebody who's married, the reason you're so head over heels with somebody who's married is because even though you love her, she's not yours and she may never be yours. So you're willing to say, oh, I love you and I want to marry you and all that stuff. But the truth is, you may not feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
And why didn't you feel that way about your prior girlfriend, but she wasn't married? So you have to consider that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, what else you got?
For 13, those were all my questions.
Well, I'm really glad you asked those because it shows, not that I had any doubt, but it shows that you really do think a lot about these questions and try to integrate from your reading what the answer is, not just what the right answer is, but why is it the answer. So I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
So what do we got on 14?
Okay, so for number 1, I got frequency of sexual contact, A.
For sexual satisfaction in a relationship is best defined in terms of what? Is that the question?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. You said A,
Mm-hmm.
and your textbook says no, it's D, the mutual experience of pleasure. So
Okay.
it's like my friend who I seemed to be focused on too much these last 2 days. She was the one that was having sex every day, every single day of her 7 years of marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's like, hey, it's not the frequency, it's the satisfaction and the enjoyment, I mean, after all, I was having sex with her once a week and I was thrilled,
Yeah.
That's just a good example.
Number 3, I couldn't find that one.
The National Health and Social Life Survey found which of the following to be true? A, men are more likely than women to have a lack of interest in sex. Oh, no. B, women in their 40s and 50s are slightly less likely to have trouble reaching orgasm and trouble orgasming than those in their 20s and 30s. Well, isn't that, assuming that's the book's decision, why did we just have that discussion about orgasms, about older women having more success with orgasms and multiple orgasms, MOs, than younger? What are our other choices? Women with a high school degree report fewer sexual problems than a woman with a college degree. Well, that's not quite true. It said graduate degrees, and there is a difference. And D, women are more likely to have pain during sex as they grow older.
Which is the opposite.
Did you watch the video? The comedic video?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you got to. I was about to use a line from that, but I didn't want to ruin it for you.
I will.
You really ought to see it. It really is funny. So, We'll go with they are mostly seen in those who have had some. What am I reading? That's not the one. 3, stupid. B, women in their 40s and 50s are slightly less likely to have trouble. I read the question wrong, the answer wrong. That's consistent. They're less likely to have trouble reaching orgasm. Okay, that's consistent with what we said before. I read the answer stem wrong. See, I can never get 100 on my own damn test because I can't read. I'm too impatient.
So it is B, right?
Yes, it's B, but it's consistent what we said about women have more orgasms when they get older. They have an easier time of because of their experience and not so much probably riding on it. You know, if you take the stress off of performance, then you might be able to sit back and enjoy getting into the performance instead of trying to measure yourself and evaluate yourself during the act.
Okay. What about 10?
Which of the following is a desire phase difficulty? So you remember there's at least 2 cycles of sexual satisfaction, Masters and Johnson and somebody else. I don't know who the other person is. One's a 3 phase and one's a 4 phase. The 4 phase includes the desire. The other one doesn't. I think it's Masters and Johnson. The one that has 3 phases doesn't talk about desire, which I think is wrong. Desire is the beginning of it all. So, okay. Disparuña. I was trying to speak Spanish and English at the same time. Uña. ¿Qué pasa con la uña? No. B, male orgasmic disorder. No. Female orgasmic disorder. No. D, male hypoactive. Yeah, well, male hypoactive, as we said, is they don't have the desire, and that is a desire issue, and they don't have a pink pill to take for that because their blue pill doesn't help them with desire. It can help with performance anxiety, but it's not going to that sensey concept of touch and communication and stuff would be something that could help with desire probably.
Okay. 11.
Some experience reduced vaginal lubrication and extreme difficult during vaginal sex. Some appears to be suffering from female genital pelvic pain / penetration disorder.
Okay.
There's a couple of questions on that issue. I don't know if this one's one of them, but I remember looking at the answers, and I remember that there is at least 1, maybe 2 female genital pelvic pain penetration disorder questions. Is there another one around here? No.
Yeah, because the followings, like 12 and 13, they're pretty much similar. But
except 12 is actually a sexual interest arousal disorder.
I have D on that one.
Oh, yeah, I see why you would say that. Well, let's read it, make sure I'm reading it correctly. Shanda is bothered by a lack of sexual excitement. Well, that sounds like female sexual interest arousal disorder, and pleasure when she tries to be intimate with her husband, although she does experience vaginal lubrication and swelling. Okay, so that's saying she's getting physically responding, but the mental part is not there. So that does make sense. It's sexual interest arousal disorder. But it's arousal in the brain, not arousal reaction by vaginal secretions and vasodilation. No, not dilation. Yes, vasodilation. Both of those are occurring. Those are classic indicators of sexual desire, sexual stimulation. But again, if it ain't up here, it ain't happening.
So it is the genital?
No, it's saying she is lacking sexual excitement and pleasure.
Oh, okay.
But yet
So
her body is reacting positively to the anticipation of sex. So it's not that the brain is controlling her physical response. Her physical response is in the positive direction for a prelude to sexual intercourse. But she's not perceiving it as something that she wants to do. And there's no mention of pain.
Yeah, that's true.
So I see what you're saying. The difference is genital, D is genital, and A is mental.
Okay.
That's the kind of question I would miss because I wouldn't read it right.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
Let's see.
You know, when I read that question, when I was doing the test, I don't know anybody named Chandra, but I remember that case of Chandra Levi, who was a Senate page or a House page for a senator or a representative. I don't know what he was. I think he probably was a representative. And she went missing and found dead. And took a long time to find her because she was buried under some leaves in a big park or something. And I don't remember whether they convicted that dude. I was going to look it up, and I forgot to look it up. So now I'm really going to look it up. Do you remember that case?
No, I don't.
It was a U.S. representative, and Chandra was a page or a volunteer staffer or something, and she was having an affair with this dude, and then she ends up dead. So all fingers pointed to him because he probably had a big motivation to shut her up.
Yeah.
If he was trying to stop the relationship and she didn't want to stop it, then he decided to take her out. Myself, I'll look that up. Chandra Levi. See, I can remember stupid things like that, but I can't remember other things. I do remember the name of the woman that I had that affair with. Okay, what else you got?
$30?
Page. Risa often experience significant pain in her abdomen after engaging in intercourse. Risa appears to be suffering from, well, there's another genital pelvic pain penetration disorder. Answer. Is that what you got, A?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to look for Chandra Levi right now while you're looking for your next question.
Okay.
Who killed Chandra Levi? She was an intern at the Bureau of Prisons. The MPD instead put much of its focus on the revelation that Levi had been having an affair with Congressman Gary Condit, a married Democrat, then in his fifth term representing California's 18th district. Blah, 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 blah. To arrest. Oh, well, looks like they found a dude. March 3rd, 2009, to arrest Igmar Gwandiki, identified and dismissed by the MPD 8 years earlier. He had been convicted of assaulting 2 other women in the Rock Creek Park around the time of Levi's disappearance and was still in prison on those convictions when the arrest warrant on Levi's death was issued. Prosecutors alleged that this dude had attacked and tied up Levi in a remote area of the park and left her to die of dehydration or exposure. On November 2010, this dude was convicted of murdering her and was sentenced to 60 years in prison. However, in June 2015, he was granted a new trial. Prosecutors announced that they would not proceed with the case, instead seek to have him deported. In episode 3 of American Murder Mystery, it is mentioned that in March of 2007, Gwandiki lost his bid to remain in the United States and was deported to El Salvador. And now he's been picked up in Del Rio, Texas, crossing the border. No,
Imagine.
no, I made that up, that part up. So they did find somebody. And it wasn't Gary Condit who they ruined his political career. So, oh well. I did not remember that. Did not remember that at all. No. Okay. Did you find another one?
Yes. 38, I think.
38 special. Mohammed, who is 56 and about 60 pounds overweight, must have been going through COVID-19. Tells his doctor he recently began having difficulty sustaining an erection until orgasm. Mohammed's doctor most likely would say, lose some weight, you toad. C, advise Mohammed to lose weight and increase exercise. And it's probably a blood related issue. Get healthier.
Uh, 44.
44?
Yes, please.
Did I hear you correct? 44?
I'm sorry?
44?
Yes.
The treatments for which the following diseases can be particularly devastating to sexuality because it can impair hormonal, vasculature, or neurological functionings necessary for normal sexual interest and response. So, endometriosis, can't imagine why that would affect, it says treatment, not problems with it. So I would eliminate endometriosis, that's for sure. Diabetes is definitely one of the things that could affect, at least in males. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know enough about females with diabetes. MS, that's a whole different issue. And cancer. Wow, that's a tough. The treatments for which of the following diseases can be particularly devastating?
Because I think it's
It's going to
because
be cancer. It's going to be cancer because cancer not only because they're talking about treatment, not just the disease itself.
mhm,
You know, if you're getting treatment, you're either getting radiation or medication,
mhm,
and either one of them, or a lot of times you get both, are really devastating on the body. You don't feel well, you're tired, you don't even have an interest in getting out of bed some days. So the big C, cancer, is a lot more devastating than diabetes or a disability like multiple sclerosis.
mhm. Okay.
I wouldn't put that on the test.
47.
Darius, what's his name? Rucker, who used to be a contemporary music guy, and then he turned into a country western guy, who is 52, comments to his pharmacist that he has experienced a sudden drop in his sexual desire and a dramatic decrease in erectile function. Which came first, huh? The pharmacist suspects that Darius' sexual difficulties could be due to the fact that he is taking finasteride, which I don't even know what that drug is. Finasteride.
Yeah, the finasteride, that's for urinary retention.
It is what?
It's for the prostate.
It's a
So
it's a treatment for prostate.
yeah, finasteride, yes.
Oh, okay.
So it must be that one.
Okay. Well, anytime you start messing with the prostate,
Yeah.
it could certainly have problems with the performance issues. Now, why it would have a problem with the desire, I don't know. That's why I sort of asked which came first. It's like the pelvic pain or the pain associated with for women for vaginal intercourse. Which comes first? If the pain comes first, and in his case, if something wrong with the plumbing because of his prostate problem, well, that could be the precursor for having lack of desire. Who, as a woman, would be just real happy to have sexual desire when she knows the result is it's going to hurt like hell doing something that should feel great. It's not. And with him, maybe it's pain, maybe it's lack of performance, maybe it's both. So the way the question's worded, we don't know whether the desire and the problem occurred at the same time, or did the physical problem occur first and then that led to a lack of desire? Sounds like to me in this case, the physical problem came first, and then because of that, it's like why? It's like ED. I mean, although I think people can still have desire even if they're having problems with performance.
Mm-hmm.
So because there's other things you can do than penile vaginal penetration, but
Right.
I guess it depends on how you look, how debilitating it is, ED, or in this case, maybe some kind of lack of 100% function because of prostate problems.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but they're certainly intertwined. But that case, it is a mental process that leads to the lack of desire.
Yep.
The lack of desire in women having sex doesn't seem to be, there is a standalone problem which doesn't involve biological or physiological problem. It's just lack of desire.
Mm.
I suppose I think I read one question about the person didn't have desire until they were already involved in sexual activities, and then the desire came back.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's like the physicality is driving the mental process, where most of the times it's the mental process that's driving the physicality.
Desire.
So seems like it can go either way.
Yeah.
What else you got?
I got 54, 55.
Which of the following is a cultural factor associated with reduced sexual desire for women? That's an interesting question. A, perceiving that they're I can't even read it. Perceiving that their parents had positive attitudes towards each other. Wow. Somebody is trying to use their psychology degree that they got from the mail order place. B, feeling guilty about sex. Well, cultural factor associated with reduced sexual desire for women. Okay, that's a possibility. C, lack of religious affiliation. Okay. D, perceiving that their parents, what is this preoccupation with your parents? Perceiving their parents had positive attitude towards sex. Oh my God. Whoever created these answer stems must have been not focusing on the right issue. The only one that even comes close is B, feeling guilty about sex. And who knows why somebody would feel guilty about sex. And a cultural factor associated. I don't know.
Yep.
But that's the other three are just completely ridiculous. I'm not saying B is an outstanding answer, but it's better than the other three, that's for sure.
What about 55?
I think your microphone cut out. I didn't get whatever you said.
Can you hear me?
Which number?
55?
55, stay alive. Which statement regarding the sexual double standard and sexual dissatisfaction is true? Well, there's so many of them. Let's see what our choices are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A, the restrictions of gender role expectations may lead to anxiety, depression, and resentment for both women and men. Absolutely. But is that the best answer? B, opposing sexual expectations for women and men do not significantly impact sexual relationships? Wrong. C, as a result of gender role expectations, women tend to see sexual interaction as a performance to confirm their female gender role in every sexual experience. No, that sounds like a man's expectations. D. Do I have D? Oh, there it is. there is no evidence that adherence to gender norms within sexual minority couples can affect sexual satisfaction. Wrong. Race is not an issue for this problem. So that leaves us with A. The restrictions of gender role expectations can lead to anxiety, depression, and resentment, not only for women, but for men as well. If you can't meet up with expectations, then that could bring you self-induced anxiety, depression, and resentment.
Okay.
And the resentment could be more directed at your partner than you. Obviously, anxiety and depression are self-directed. Resentment, you could be resentment of your gender role because maybe if you're a man or you're a woman, the expectation, the societal expectation, is one that limits some area of sexual relations that you want to participate in, but your partner says no, they're not interested, or what would our friends think if they found out we were involved in anal intercourse, or using sex toys in a certain way or something like that. Those are all social norms that hopefully people don't know what you do in your bedroom, but it's still
Yeah.
still what you think,
Mhm.
What else you got?
60?
60. The lack of sexual interest and response is a common symptom of these illnesses: depression, anxiety, psychosis, or aging. Well, I guess the easy answer to that is A, because if you're depressed, you don't have energy, you're not interested in another person, you're not interested in having sex, you're not interested in getting involved, because you're depressed and you just don't want to do anything, even if it is something that you have liked to do in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So, and antidepressants, of course, can, if you're not only are you depressed, but you're receiving medication for it. That doesn't help either. So, A is going to be the best answer.
Okay. Those were all my questions for 14.
Which number?
I finished already. Those were all my questions, sir.
You're finished?
Yeah.
Your mic is kind of freaky. You start to talk and then just shuts you off and then comes back. So all I hear is the last part.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, so those were all my questions for chapter 14.
Well, I hope I know you helped yourself. I hope this is helpful for anyone who takes the opportunity to benefit from your participation. And I know at least one of our members was having medical issues with a family member yesterday. So maybe she's not here today. It is a different day than we normally meet, so I could see it could cause conflicts for people. But they'll have this recording, and nobody sent me anything that I saw as far as a question they had. So, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your help.
I think I anticipate you will do extremely well on this. I tried to pick questions that I always try to pick questions that sort of came up in class, because to me it rewards the people who come to class. If we discuss that question in class, then it should be, oh, I remember that. We discussed that in class. So I try to do that. And I was able to do that on several questions that are on the test. We actually discuss them in class. So since you're always here, you would have the benefit of that. So, and those who watch at home because of a conflict, they benefit too. So,
Yeah. Thank you.
all right. Have a great weekend. I don't know when I'll be out with the new study guides. Maybe it'll be today, but I'm not going to promise it today. So, and most people, it seems like they take the test on the very last day that they can. So most people will be doing whatever they do to prepare for the exam on Sunday. So
Right.
people who are like really on it and prepared anyway, then like they take it on Friday. But then like nobody takes it on Saturday, and then everybody else takes it on Sunday. So that's just kind of weird how it goes. All right. So relax until you have a couple more study guides to deal with. Of course, you know we're going into week 7, so that's STIs, which is always an interesting conversation, and 16, chapter 16, which is atypical sexual behavior. So 15 and 16 are what's coming up next week. Should be interesting week. So,
Okay.
all right. Thanks for your input.
Thank you for your help.
See
Have
you
a good weekend.
on Monday, I guess.
Yes, sir. Thank
All
you.
right.